Hey, welcome back. It's Wednesday, and this is Work in Progress Wednesday, the semi-regular series where I open up my DAW and we take a look at one of my ongoing projects. Today's going to be a little bit different in that we're looking at a mastering session. So I've got a number of tracks here which have been bounced down to hopefully their final mixes, and we're going to be doing a touch of mastering on them. So the goals of mastering in my view are threefold. One, you want to increase the overall perceived loudness of the track. Two, you want the track to be consistent with other tracks. For example, in the context of an album, you want consistency, you want them to sound similar to each other. And three, you want to do this process as obnoxiously as you possibly can. So mastering, just like mixing, there's no one standard solution as to how you should approach this. And in true internet fashion, this is something that people get very, very opinionated about. So for me, mastering, this is like driving your car down the highway, and there's a psychological effect where whatever speed you're going is the correct one. And if someone's going a touch slower or a touch faster than you, they're insane. So with all that in mind, I'm somewhat reluctant to show my process here. I think while you can dive quite deep into this topic and become an actual mastering engineer, certainly there's plenty to do and to learn on this topic. But I think for most self-releasing artists, composers, arrangers, people like me, you're basically just slapping a few things together, making it loud, making it consistent with everything else you're doing, and throwing it out into the wild. So I'm not going to get into the number of loofs you should be mastering to, or the true peak, or any of these kind of numbers that people are throwing around. Just going to show you a couple basic things. How about we take a quick listen to what I've been mastering so far. So you can see that my mastering chain here is quite limited. I like to do most of the heavy lifting during the mixing stage, and I try to master as little as possible. Having said that, the first thing that I like to slap on is an EQ, and I'll bring it up quickly here. So you can see there's quite a bit of lower energy on this track. I didn't want to carve out too much of the body. Rather, I just boost a little bit of the upper sections to give it a bit more energy, not that it's sounding too dull. So the next group of things that I have here are a couple of compressors. These are just out-of-the-box compressors that I like to use. This first one is a very clean compressor. It doesn't add any additional color. And so compressing your master bus, there's people that tell you you shouldn't, there's people that tell you you should. What I like to do is just have a very slow attack time. I'm basically just targeting a couple of the peaks, bringing them down slightly. Okay, the second compressor that I'm adding is a vintage compressor. It's also out of the box. Here I'm also doing very little gain reduction, and I'm basically just adding a little bit of color because this one has a nice little warmth to it. Okay, it's subtle, but it's there. And that's the whole thing about mixing and mastering, is that you're doing a lot of small steps which compound and create a better end product. But nothing's too drastic at this stage, just small tweaks here and there. So that second compressor kind of pivots into the next section of my mastering chain, which is that I'm adding more warmth. Magneto, this is a saturator. It's adding some additional color to the mix. And the same thing with the quadrifuzz, where you can add saturation and apply it to separate frequency groups. We'll take a quick listen and I'll toggle back a few times. Right, once again, it's subtle, it's a small move, but all that stuff adds up over time. And then finally, the most drastic thing that I'm applying here is a limiter. I'm doing that with Ozone Elements. Again, a contentious plugin. Some people love it, some people hate it. And here you're going to see the biggest change once I toggle this on and off, because it's boosting the loudness significantly. So I'm limiting quite conservatively. As you can see, I've got a ceiling of minus 1.2 dB. It's plenty loud enough. I don't have to push the envelope too far. And I'm hitting about minus 14 loofs, which is at the moment the Spotify standard. Not that that's my target audience for this project. I don't apply an additional equalizer at the end of the mastering chain because I've done that at the beginning. I do add a little bit of stereo widening. Again, super contentious topic. A lot of people tell you you shouldn't be doing this. At the end of the day, you're serving the track. I think it sounds better with a little bit of widening. I usually do about 20 or 30% at the most. I like it. Let's toggle it on and off quickly to take a listen. So there you go, 30%. It's not stretching it out too much. I think it sounds better than the original mix, which is the whole point. And so there you have it. It's very simple. It's a very neat and tidy process. So I go through, apply the same process to all the tracks, make sure everything sounds good together, and then we've got a final product. Cool. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Hope it was interesting, and we'll see you next time.